Hello and welcome to the 8th Emerging India Awards. I'm Shireen Bhan. Last week you saw the growth story of 3 emerging enterprises from the engineering sector with Anu Aga, Director of Thermax, playing mentor. This week on the series we're going to put the spotlight on 3 more SMEs, but this time from the Indian IT sector. Before that, let's take a look at where the industry stands.
One of the most important sectors in the Indian economy, the IT industry has witnessed a record growth in the recent few years. From $150 million in 1991 to record-breaking $100 billion in 2012. In the last 10 years, the industry has grown at an average rate of 30%. So what led to this boom in the industry? The liberalization of the Indian economy opened up avenues for the IT industry, leading to an abundance of skilled manpower, reduced telecommunication and internet costs, and reduced import duties on software and hardware products. The industry today accounts for a major share of the country's exports and is a huge generator of employment. A high inflow of FDI is also expected in the coming years, and while new markets for software exports from India have opened up in the Middle East, parts of Asia, Africa and Eastern Europe, another important area for the growth of the sector is the domestic market. Industry experts argue that the future lies in ensuring that the benefits of the industry percolate to the grassroots level.
The Indian IT industry is home to several veterans and stalwarts, people who've put the Indian business on the global map. Playing mentor to our 3 SMEs today is one such personality, Bhaskar Pramanik, Chairman of Microsoft India.
Now, within the IT industry, the SME segment is relatively small in terms of revenue. Overall, they contribute about 10+ percentage points in terms of overall revenue. But in terms of size, they're considerable. There are nearly over 4,000 SMEs in the IT sector. Out of these, close to about 1,800 are in the area of what we call products. There is another 800 odd which are in the BPO, in the services area, and there's a significant 180 which is in the knowledge services. So I think it's a nascent segment, the SME within IT. It's growing rapidly. I think industry associations are looking at how we can harness the the developments which we are seeing in this segment and how we can grow it and scale it a lot more.
Bhaskar Pramanik's depth of experience will prove to be insightful for all our SMEs. Making a mark in the IT industry is our first SME, ADCC Infocad. Based out of Nagpur, the company provides engineering and IT services in the GIS sector. Let's take a look at this story.
Taking advantage of the liberalization policies and the still nascent GIS sector in the 1990s, the company was created to fill out the vacuum for geospatial and mapping services. The company today provides solutions to various companies in India and abroad.
The layman who's watching the show, what exactly is GIS?
Probably if you see, GIS is basically geographical information systems. It is capturing the ground reality into the maps into the digital format. Might be a 2D model or might be a 3D model. So it is what you're seeing on ground is really captured on the digital format.
Okay, something like Google Earth, what you would say?
Kind of.
Kind of like for the layman, it's something like on the lines of Google Earth.
Yes.
And where is GIS being used by you in India, if you give us some examples?
So if GIS, if we talk about Indian industry, we are using it across all the verticals and all the industry parameters, which talks about all the verticals like electrical. I'm to say utilities is specifically focused on GIS. If we talk about electrical, telecom, water and gas, all the 4 utilities are using GIS in a very extensive way in India.
Okay.
And now even a lot of government policies which have come up have made GIS as mandatory for a lot of projects which are coming on the capital side.
ADCC Infocad's main business domains include providing solutions in engineering services, geographical information systems, management information systems, geospatial solutions and utility application software development services. The company also runs an academy that takes care of hard skills training for engineering design software.
Out of all these services, which is like your main sales generator? Is there one or is there a mix of 2, 3?
Typically on the services side, if you talk about GIS is the main bread earner for ADCC, and then there are other divisions which are like commercial products, software solutions which we sell and support throughout across India, like Autodesk, Intergraph, Bentley, Digital Globe for the satellite imageries, And then there is a third division which we talk about education software solutions, with the education boom in the colleges and institutions which are coming up.
How are you trying to move with the trend of nowadays they're using more and more products and less of services? We're trying to become more product oriented in the IT industry.
See, if you talk about GIS per se, when I talk about the GIS industry, you are very right. There are a lot of products which are coming up as top up on the GIS data which is created, because it's very difficult for a layman to interpret GIS data. So we have a lot of location based services which are coming up. You have like iPhones and iPads which are now totally GIS enabled and all those things. So when you talk about that, product innovations has to be there, and that basically we are doing it from our own captive use. That is a software development department which we have, and they are creating applications based on the local languages, probably, which is very easy to understand for the government hierarchy and all those stuff. So we are creating those applications which will interpret the data and would take it to the consumer. So that kind of application development we are doing. And there is a lot of open source technology which is being adopted to reduce on the cost of this multinational software actually. So that is again a next leap which India will see, where people would walk out from the typical design content companies and would walk up to the open source technology. So that is going to be next a decade of probably software and product development for GIS.
What do the next 5 years look for ADCC Infocad?
The recent diversification which we have done is we have opened up an office in Africa. We have signed up with RCMRD. RCMRD is a body in Kenya which takes care of the 21 countries and the mapping initiatives of these 21 countries. So we are the only Indian company who is registered with them and paneled with them as a technical solution provider for GIS industry. Second is we are also adding a lot of product development which will take place in years to come, and that will probably give us an edge to face the African market also with the open source technology. So a lot of applications which we are getting developed in India which have come at a mature stage here, we are going to go and showcase that in Africa and probably see that they are implemented there. Something like water, electricity. If you go to see next 5 years, typically if you talk about the major budget probably being allocated is into 3 areas like defense, power and electric.
Yes.
So defense, of course, we are not working much on GIS side, but power and electric we are working extensively, and there are a lot of World Bank initiatives which are coming up in these fields.
What are some of the challenges that you think would come up in this expansion, in these future plans of yours?
If we talk about challenges, of course, one which is a pain point for us is getting the right skill set. So we are headquartered in Nagpur, which probably takes us away from metros. But yes, of course, there are cost advantages which gets offset to it. But then retaining of the manpower and probably sourcing of the right manpower for the right skill set is still a challenge. And that is why we incepted with our academy division, wherein we take the fresh talent, train it to our requirements, and then we post it to them to on the services.
Well, as you just saw there, ADCC Infocad has truly converted a challenge into its stronghold by instituting its own academy to train manpower. Is attract investors. How can they attract better talent and retain talent? And how can these SMEs ensure higher efficiency in performance? This is what Bhaskar Pramanik had to say.
I think the opportunity for IT companies who have a good business idea, who have a good product or a service which they want to offer, to be able to attract investment from angel investors or from venture capitalists is very high. And once you've reached a certain size, even going back to the traditional banking sector to get additional loans is also something which they can avail of. For SMEs, what I would suggest is that while they can work with industry associations, they should also work with educational institutions within their vicinity, and they should actually invest in trying to ensure that college students are properly trained while they are in college. So there needs to be greater participation. And I think SMEs can actually add value and contribute to that. So I would strongly urge that it's not just the large companies which should be doing that. I think SMEs can also play a role in making that happen. I think also it's important for SMEs to ensure that they create an environment where they're providing the latest technology to their existing workforce, that they respect IP, because then, and create an environment in which the developer really enjoys, in which case then once they've got the talent, they can retain them. So if you think about the 4 mega trends which are driving technology today, it's really around social networking, it's around big data, it's around big data and analytics, it's around the mobility, and it's also obviously about the cloud. I think there is a lot of potential to impact not just citizens but larger organizations or even smaller organizations, industries, using these technologies from the perspective of enhancing operational efficiency, or whether it is enhancing the ability to connect with customers or with citizens or with people. Technology is becoming so much part of our everyday lives.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode on the Emerging India series. Many thanks to Bhaskar Pramanik for joining us as a mentor. The 3 SMEs that we showcased today, they've dared to carve a niche for themselves and compete in an industry that's packed with stellar success stories.